CBS EFM.
It is a Friday morning, and we're back with part 2 of Inside Korea on TBS EFM 101.3 in Seoul and surrounding areas. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're going to continue with the show. Coming up in just a little bit, we have Mark Wilson joining me in the studio for Soul Brothers. Well, it's going to be a Mark solo edition. Mark alone in the studio because Alex is away for the week, but he will be back next week. And Mark has a soft spot for, well, many different kinds of animals, including reptiles, and he has 2 birds and a cat at home. And I mentioned, I like to call him bird whisperer, lover of all animals. So he got super excited visiting the bird sanctuary this week. Cannot wait to hear about his experience there. A very special place, apparently. All that information coming up in just a little bit. And of course, we're asking you a question today related to birds. Which of the following is not an endangered bird species here in Korea? Number 1, 큰악새. Number 2, 닭. 3, 매. And 4, 참수리. 큰악새, 닭, 매, 참수리. 1013-451. Leave your messages on Facebook and Instagram. Search for us, InsideKorea.tbs. All right, what are you up to, everybody? Where are you listening in from? What does your day look like? 9:31 right now and 46 seconds. Before we move on to our next segment, we're going to take a little break. Send us lots of messages. Looking forward to those. Part 2 of Inside Korea is brought to you by 대한항공, 롯데하이마트, 현대해상화재보험, and Gmarket Global.
파랗게 물든 조드프로, 순백의 사랑 타지마할, 핑크빛 도시 자이푸르, 다채로운 세계 나라 인도, 그 중심에 델리가 있습니다. 인도 여행은 델리에서 시작하세요. 대한항공 인도 델리 메이루낭.
Excellence in flight. Korean Air.
TV, 냉장고, 세탁기, 건조기. 이사 한 번 하는데 왜 이렇게 살 게 많아?
언니, 하이마트에서 한 번에 사면 되잖아.
다양한 가전제품을 한눈에 비교하고 풍성한 혜택까지 받으니까.
진이도, 유리도 이사할 땐 하이마트로 가요.
자세한 내용은 매장 문의.
현대해상 안전 DJ 태연입니다. 5656님의 사연인데요. 뒷좌석에 앉은 친구가 귀찮다고 안전벨트 안 맨대요. 어떡하죠? 에이, 안 되죠. 차 타면 제일 먼저 안전벨트 찰칵. 전 좌석 안전벨트 잊지 마세요.
현대해상 하이카.
Struggling to bring Korean gifts to your country? Just shop at Gmarket Global. No need to go to Myeongdong or Dongdaemun anymore. Plus, with our application, your shopping can be much easier. Download Gmarket Global application and experience smart international shopping right now.
Mark is back. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Alex, are you listening from wherever you are?
Hey, Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Is it good morning or good evening where he's at right now?
I think he's pretty much in the same time zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We miss you.
Yeah, miss you. See you next week.
Yes. You visited a very special place this week, and you've been talking about this place to our whole team for weeks, actually.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you first, are you an animal person? I kind of know the answer to this, but...
Yeah, of course. I have an animal at home.
You have a lovely...
I have 2 animals. At home. And I have a cat and I have a husband and
got to take care of them both. Got to clean up after.
I'm not sure if I am an animal person like you and your girlfriend Chung-Yoon because I love animals, like I love trees and flowers
Okay. Like they're a part of like the world or
Yeah,
whatever. Okay.
but they're just a little bit cuter. Well, some animals are a little bit cuter because they've got a lot of fur
Yeah.
and they just look so cute.
Yeah.
But I don't
Big
think I
eyes,
can
yeah.
spend like too much time with them.
Okay.
It's also the same for people.
You're
as
like
well
a
for
you're
me.
like a you're like a cat. You're like a
I'm like a-
humanized cat. You're like
a
I
little
like things,
bit.
but you know.
Yeah, I like to keep a little distance.
Well, with me, I'm definitely, as you mentioned, an animal person. Ever since I was a young kid, I was the kid that would have lizards as pets. I would collect salamanders and frogs, whatever I could find.
Yeah, those kind of animals I'm not a huge fan
Yeah,
of.
I loved
like
them.
reptiles.
I loved
no,
them.
thank you.
Yeah, I had a big old iguana. He grew to like, I think 4.5 feet.
Oh,
It's a big boy.
that's a huge
Yeah,
iguana.
it's a big boy. Yep. Yeah, I just grew up with animals my whole life, and actually, I don't know if I told you about this, but before I came to Korea, I actually worked at a pet store, worked at a pet shop.
You did
for about
mention that.
Okay, yeah, and after that, I was like, okay, no more animals ever, because working at a pet
Yeah.
shop is just so much care, and I'm just like,
So much poop.
Right, so much poop, a lot of poop, all different versions
Yeah.
of poop. And then coming to Korea, of course, in my first year, I get a cat.
Of
I don't
course.
get a cat. I rescued a cat from the street.
Roomy.
Roomy, that's right. But yes, with today's topic, more recently, I now am an official burb. We call it burb.
What is burb?
BIRB.
Yeah.
That's like the internet lingo for pet bird.
Oh.
But I'm a burb dad.
Uh-huh.
So I
You
have
have two?
lovebirds.
They're beautiful.
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah, they're
I've
pretty
seen
cute.
photos and videos.
Yeah, it's a boy and a girl. And I always thought lovebirds, I thought that was just like kind of a term. I didn't realize they were actual animals, right? But they're these tiny little parrots native to Madagascar. And
They're from Madagascar.
Yeah, from the African area in Madagascar. And yeah, I have them. And the thing is, having these animals, I'm just like, all right, so if they get sick or if they become injured, who do I reach out to? It's not like I can just go
Good
to
question.
a veterinarian or something, right? And I've always been kind of worried about that.
Well, isn't that what most people do? If they have birds,
Yeah.
pet birds, they would take them to a vet
Right.
when the birds get sick.
Right, exactly. But it's just like many vets, they don't deal with a lot of
Right.
avian. They don't deal with a lot of birds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a lot of educated guesses. Nothing against them, but I was very lucky that Jung-yun, she found a bird facility.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went there, I thought it was just a place where you could purchase supplies, purchase birds, have them take care of it. But it is so much more.
Okay, first of all, where is this 아가 새농장?
Yeah, so there are 3 branches. The one I went to is in Hamnam in Gyeonggi-do
Yes.
in Misadong. And I went there. Initially, I thought, okay, they're just going to have a bunch of parrots. And you get out of the car and you immediately can hear
The birds?
where the facility is because it's in the countryside, but you just hear all of these different animals. Yeah.
Interesting. So you arrived there, you
Yeah.
got there, and was it a very large facility?
It was, it was shockingly large. The more I
Oh.
discovered, the more the facility just became bigger to me because they're just like, oh, you can check out this wing or this spot. And it was just huge. I was greeted by Sam Nam. We'll hear about him later. He's a caretaker, conservationist, and bird educator. I think he's actually teaching some lessons right now to some students about care for birds.
I see.
And I was lucky enough because he could speak English too. It was awesome.
So this location you went to was in Misadong, in
Yes.
Hanam,
Yes.
in Gyeonggi-do. And then you said there are other branches as well?
Yeah, there's another branch in Chuncheon and Hongsong. Yes.
Yeah, Chuncheon and Hongsong.
And in combination, I was told that they have about 50 kinds of bird species.
Oh, that's incredible.
and over 2,000 birds altogether. 2,000.
2,000?
Yes. So
This
parrots
is like a
and birds of prey. Yeah.
zoo. Well, it's not a zoo.
Yeah, it's just in
How
some
would you describe
cases it does seem a bit zooish, but this is a care center and a resuscitation center, and not only just birds but also birds of prey, actual native birds of the Korean Peninsula.
Really?
Yes.
So they do bird care. You said they sell bird stuff, supplies.
Yeah.
And they even provide people with bird care education.
Bird care, bird education. And the really cool thing is this, especially where Yerika, where you live. Mm-hmm. You live more in the in the
in the mountains.
Not the mountains, but okay. We talked about it last week. Yerika just has this lovely scenery with forest and woods surrounding you.
Yes.
So it's totally possible. You could be walking home and then you could see like an injured magpie or like a hawk chick or something.
I live in a house, not an apartment. So I've had instances, several actually.
Yeah.
Like 5 in total, where birds would fly into my window.
Oh my goodness.
And they would just pass out. And I've had to bury some birds as well because a lot of birds do that.
Yeah.
They think they're just flying straight, but then they don't see the window.
Yeah.
And a lot of birds die that way.
Aigo.
So I've had several experiences. So many birds in the neighborhood, and I hear them all the time.
Yes.
And that's something you don't really notice when you live in high-rise apartment buildings.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so let's say you're in a situation where you see a bird that's maybe injured or maybe even a nest that you would like removed or something like that. A lot of people, they would call 119 because they're just like, there's this giant hawk.
Hawk?
Yeah, maybe a hawk or a falcon just injured or sitting here. They'll call 119 because they have no idea who to call. Well, the 119 people will actually contact these guys. These guys will come, analyze, pick it up. Even if, let's say, if you have a villa or there's a nest somewhere they will actually take the nest and take it back, resuscitate it.
And then release them back in the wild.
Hopefully they can be released back into the wild.
Oh, I see. You know what? Speaking of birds, and you mentioned like a hawk or a falcon.
Yeah.
I once looked out the window and I saw a pheasant just like...
They're huge, aren't they
just
huge?
Like hanging out
Yeah, they're
in
beautiful.
the garden. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like totally a guang.
And it's so funny because they actually have pheasant chicks at the facility. Have you seen a chick? Pheasant
Yes.
chick? They are tiny.
They're
just
so
this
cute.
tiny little thing. Yeah. So we can hear more about these services. We'll hear more about Sam. And also like a really cool little tidbit about something they're trying to do in the future in this next clip.
Are we going to have a listen to it now?
Let's do it, yeah.
Let's check it out.
Okay, I am fortunate enough to sit here with one of the helpers, workers, employees of this center. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay. My Korean name is Sang-ho Nam, and I'm working for Hangang Biology Conservation Research Center here in Hanam.
I overheard, how many parrots do you have at your house?
Everyone will be surprised, you know. I have 38 parrots.
In your apartment, in your place?
In my...
Oh. Okay.
In my living room.
Wow. Do you get any noise complaints from the neighbors?
Birds are noisy at the, certain times.
Yeah.
Whenever I ask people, you are comfortable with my, bird sound? They say it's okay.
It's like alarm.
Yeah,
wakes
alarm,
them up,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's working always for them.
And of course, you are very well known for your parrots, but then also when you come into the facility, there are animals that aren't parrots. Can you explain them? Some of the other animals.
Yeah, the animals like birds of prey.
Yeah.
Okay. That's part of Hangang Biology Conservation Research Center. We have been rescuing the injured birds of prey for 2 years and registered as a non-profit organization. Our main goal is to save wild birds which are hurt and lost their habitat. When they are fully recovered from their injury, we let them free into the nature.
So these animals that you find, you re-release them, which is amazing. Are they imprinted on humans or they're still wild? Once you release them, they're gone.
We hope they gain their wild characteristics, but that's quite hard to get, all the wild characteristics at the same time.
Where do you release them? Do you release them around here or do you go deep into the forest in a different location?
When we first released them in the city, the biggest problem is magpies. Once we release the birds of prey, the magpie gather at them and attack them.
Oh, yeah.
Actually. So that's the quite difficult situation.
Because they see this predator and magpie is very territorial.
They protected their territory.
Exactly. So what are some other future plans for this facility?
As you all know, the birds of prey are the natural enemy of pigeons here in Korea. We can find many people get angry with those pigeons. So we train some birds of prey to fight back at them.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's our mission.
Yeah. I know in the States, especially in the cities, we have the peregrine falcon.
Oh.
Yeah. And they're natural hunters for pigeons. So they really help keep the pigeon population in check.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. You're
Yeah.
training these birds of prey to go after, hunt, or, drive away the pigeons.
Except Korea, like America and Japan, they already do, these kind of works.
Okay, so you're saying you're kind of training them to maybe have the taste for pigeon.
That's right.
How do you do that? How do you adjust their diet?
From the early beginnings, we train them how to attack the pigeons.
Wow.
And that's quite, Korean history we can recall. In Goryeo dynasty, Haedongcheong is one of them. They trained the hawk to hunt down the pheasant, I guess.
Oh, the pheasants, yeah. That's so interesting because in Europe, they have the falconers,
That's
which
right.
do the same thing. So
Yeah.
Koreans had their own, they're the hawkeners, using
right,
the hawk.
that's right. Yeah, This is our new beginning, job. The last thing, I can think of is hopefully this project can be subsidized by Korean government to work on.
I mean, this is national conservation here.
Yeah.
This is conservation for Korea.
That's
so
right.
you can only hope that you can. I hope you can get that subsidization because this is Korea conservation. Yeah.
We already spent too much money on building their nest and.
Right. Well, Sam, I want to thank you very much. This has been lovely, and you're going to see more of me. I'm definitely coming back.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Mark.
you.
Okay, thank you.
I am amazed. I had no idea such a place existed here in Korea.
Neither. Hey, you and me both, Erica. Neither did I. When I went there, it was just. My girlfriend was like, "Why are you so happy? You're never this happy." I just had this big, stupid smile on my face.
On your
I was
face.
just like, and I was just holding all these different birds. Yeah.
Honestly speaking, I think birds are really pretty.
Yep.
But I'm a little bit scared.
Not for everybody.
Birds.
I know this. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm scared of their beaks. I'm scared that they're gonna peck me. When I was a kid, I saw what's that movie by Alfred Hitchcock?
Oh, the birds.
Yeah, the bird.
Yeah.
That movie freaked me out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have
absolutely.
nightmares.
That's a
watching the
classic.
movie.
That's a great one.
Oh my goodness.
No, you know what? There was a beautiful, I believe it was a scarlet macaw. That's like when you just type in parrot on your search engine or macaw, that's that bright red one, just the huge one.
Yes.
There was a massive
the one that often makes its appearance in like animations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you think of the word macaw or parrot, it's this one.
The one with the banana-shaped beak.
Yes. Huge, huge.
Right.
It was, it got to be 3.5 feet in length.
That is huge.
And the one that we saw, that size, was only 3 or 4 months old.
Oh.
It was a baby. And for me, I was like, this is a dinosaur. This is massive. So even for me, I was taken aback. And I can definitely see why people are intimidated because the beak is just like, that cracks walnuts. And its feet are just
cracks walnuts?
Yeah, it can just crack them right open. So strong.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
You said like altogether these bird sanctuaries, they have like 2,000 birds.
Yeah.
Where do all these birds come from? And some of these are super exotic species from abroad, like Madagascar, for example.
Well, if you think about, Sam will have to correct me on this if I'm wrong, but the bird industry as a pet is still quite new. So if anything, like Sam in this facility, they are just the forerunners, the pioneers of this industry in Korea. So
are these pets originally that get abandoned?
Right. So what happens is many times they're imports, just most like other birds in trade. But by this point now, because it's been in Korea for a while. There is breeding that's happening. So now these birds are actually can be bred and raised in Korea.
I see.
Yeah, and what we saw there was this lovely lady. We didn't talk about her. You said I was the bird whisperer. This woman is the Se
Was she
whisperer.
the woman who was feeding the baby birds?
She could just, even with my birds who can get a bit aggro, a little bit aggressive, she just picked them up, like kissed them on the head. She just she knows how to
handle them.
To handle every type of bird. Sam says she's around the clock. She wakes up 3 a.m. to make sure their babies get fed.
That is some dedication right there.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Listener 6895 texted in saying, Mark sounds extra enthusiastic today. You're right,
I love
actually.
birds.
And then they say, I had no idea that there were such bird facilities around Korea. Thanks for the insight. You're very welcome.
Yes.
Now, getting back to our quiz today, which is not an endangered bird species in Korea. I gave out the options in Korean just in case our foreign listeners want to participate in the quiz today. Take a guess. I'm going to give you the English names of these birds.
Go for it.
So, knakse, white-bellied black woodpecker, 닭, chicken, 매, peregrine falcon, and tamsuri is Steller's sea eagle. There you go. Take a guess, which is not an endangered bird species in Korea. What I found super interesting about what he said was that they are training birds of prey to hunt pigeons.
I thought that was incredible when he told. I had no idea they were doing
amazing.
anything
How
like
smart
that.
is that?
Yeah, I think that's great because, as you know, pigeons, they don't get the best rap in cities. I mean, they do carry a lot of diseases and aren't the cleanest. And there's an overpopulation. So to train these birds, which some of them are natural predators, I think it's great. It can really help clean up in a biological kind of way. No chemicals used, no dangerous methods or anything like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this tradition of training birds of prey to hunt other birds go all the way back to the Goryeo dynasty.
How cool is that?
What was it called? Haedongcheong?
Yes.
They used to train hawks to hunt for pheasants?
That's right. That is
so
cool.
non-profit organization. I can't believe he has 38 parrots
in his house.
Home.
Yeah. He said, well, and I'll agree as a parrot owner, parrots are generally kind of loud in the morning and then during work hours. So they don't really bother. At nighttime, they pretty much go to bed. It's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, do the birds sleep at night?
Yes, they do. Yes.
I
Well,
don't
these
know.
birds do. Well, I mean, some of the birds, they also had owls there as well. Those guys are going to be up all night.
I love owls.
So beautiful.
They are so beautiful.
I just think that this facility is so important. One, because it helps educate people how to take care of parrots, which is a very demanding thing because they're super smart, probably smarter than your cat or dog.
Ironically, I think that is what attracts people to adopt or buy these very exotic birds because they're fascinated. Like, oh, a parrot. They know how to talk. They're super smart.
But then you find out
why don't we have a pet? But then they realize afterwards that they're a handful and it takes a lot of work. And then
they
that's
live
why these...
to be 60, 70. Some of these parrots
they
live to
live a
60,
long
70
life.
years. This is the kind that you give to your kids. Like,
My goodness, I had no idea. I'm
my
learning a lot about birds
lovebirds
today.
still live around 16 or 17 years, so not that, but that's still long.
That's still a long
pretty
life considering
right?
dogs and cats.
Yeah.
They live around that long,
That's right.
don't they?
That's right.
Oh, birds have a long life.
This facility is great because, again, because of that education, but also with the national and natural conservation. It should be said that, naturally speaking, Korean nature's in trouble. Just with the growing pollution, with people butting up right next to the wilderness.
Yeah, cutting down
That's right.
the woods to build, apartments.
Factories,
and,
burning trash.
Yes.
It's quite a terrible thing that's going on within the small country of Korea, if we think about it.
How many workers are there? So this is a nonprofit organization.
It's a nonprofit.
So are the employees there? Are they predominantly volunteers?
I think they're mainly just part of the family from that woman because she runs it and lives there. And I think for the most part, with the exception of Sam, they're all extension of family.
Okay.
But I feel like now Sam has become part of that family.
So their love
and I'm
and
going to be careful too because I feel like I'm going to be adopted in.
So their love and dedication to their work was very apparent when you visited. How long did you spend? How much time did you spend
Well, the first time we spent many hours there. The second time we were a bit in a hurry, a little bit later. So Jung-in she was kind of like, hey, we got to go.
All right. For those of our listeners who might be interested in visiting the facility, is there a website they can visit to find out more information?
Yes, there is. So you want to just go to agase, agase.co.cr.
Yeah, so agase.
Agase.
agase.co.kr.
Yes.
And Sam spoke English very well.
Yeah,
so
that was
foreigners,
awesome.
if they go there, they can probably get the whole tour and all the information in English as well.
Have a tour, take maybe a class there. I run an English camp. Maybe I'll take those kids there too. Totally possible.
It says here that he teaches parrot care at the Seoul Arts Occupational Training College as well.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. It's totally awesome.
All right. Listener 4802 with their answer says the answer is this bird, of course, but looking at all these fried chicken joints around Seoul and Korea, all over Korea, one would think otherwise.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, chickens are kind of in danger all of the time here. Yeah.
Okay, it's time to wrap. Mark, thank you so much for bringing us so much information. It's been really fascinating.
Yeah.
See you next week.
All right, see ya.